Give me a D and a G. It's the Dawg and Gus Show. It's the Dawg and Gus Show.
Hey, Dawg, your beard's looking flickin' great, my man.
Thanks, Gus. I've been using the Bush Beard Wash.
The what now?
At Bush Beard, they know that every man with a beard is a unique beardo. And that's why they offer a wide range of products to cater to every beard's needs. Whether you have a long and luscious mane or prefer to keep it short and sharp, their products will help you achieve that perfect look.
From the nourishing beard oil and balm to the refreshing beard wash, their products are made with all-natural local ingredients to keep that beard healthy, soft, and lustrous. The beard comb and brush are designed to detangle and shape your beard, making sure you always look your best.
At Bush Beard, they're dedicated to providing the best possible grooming experience for all the beardos out there. So why settle for an average beard when you can have a glorious, well-groomed one? Try Bush Beard products today and unleash the full potential of your beard.
Be sure to use Dawg and Gus 10 and get 10% off your order.
Bush Beard, the small town brand with the big old Canadian heart. Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show now on Whitewater Rocks Radio.
What's up, Dawg?
Not much, Gus. You.
Oh, just enjoying another beautiful day.
In the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What do we got going on?
Well, we're going to talk to a gentleman tonight. It's a CMA award winner, and it's LeFlo Franco.
That's it. LeFlo Franco. How are you, sir?
It is I. What's up, fellas? I'm great. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for spending a bit of time with us today. It was so nice to meet you at the award ceremony, and then seeing it as you won. That must have been exciting for you.
It was unreal. Unreal, beautiful experience, and yeah, a moment we won't forget. So it was dope to see you guys there, and now we get to reconnect and catch up. It's super nice.
It is.
Yeah, sorry we're not as dressed up as we were that night.
Yeah, we were rolling that night.
Me too. I'm pretty laid back, and it's summer, and I'm not that important, so you don't have to do that for me.
Very untrue.
You're number one of three in this situation right now. So
who's number two?
We're not going to get into that. What area?
Dodge the question.
Yeah, I know. I always do that. I'm pretty good at the old. Are you from Ottawa originally?
Yes, let's go with yes. So originally, it's a complicated question. So try to make it quick. I was born in France. Didn't stay there long, which is why I don't have the European Français accent.
Parisienne.
L'accent parisien, but yeah, actually born in Paris. So, and
cool.
then mom left when I was 4 years old. So we went to Montreal, Canada, Montreal, Quebec. We stayed there till I was about 8, and I've been in Ottawa since I was 9. And I'm happy to say that I'm 38 years old, and I've been in Ottawa ever since. So Ottawa's home. So tricky question to answer, but let's say that I'm from here. Yes, from Ottawa.
That's fair. We all kind of have that roundabout way. Dawg was,
right.
born here, lived in Germany.
Same deal. Born here, lived somewhere else, came back.
I was born in Toronto, came here, went back to Toronto, came back. Same idea, bro. But yeah, no, it's although Paris is a little nicer than Toronto.
So they say.
Way nicer.
Depends on the person.
No, you don't have to be. You can be a little biased here. We're allowed for that.
Well, they've got the Arc de Triomphe to get the Eiffel Tower. And what does Toronto got? Oh, the CN Tower.
It's cool.
Yeah,
and beautiful buildings and a very nice downtown. But yeah, Paris, pretty nice sights to see. That's for sure. But the people aren't so nice. So I don't know. Pros and cons.
Does that balance out? Are the people in Toronto nice though?
No.
No,
it's not true. A lot of them are. We won't get entirely into that because what's cool about Toronto though, and you see it a bit here in a smaller scale, is the diversity. Like you could be in Greek town and you can be in Chinatown, you can be in Haiti town. There's it's amazing there for that. There's a lot of different flavors. Because if you wanted to go get something to eat, you can have different choices and try different things, and I'm totally down with that. I love that.
For the music as well, right?
Oh, of course. And the arts in Toronto are amazing. So when you because most of your hip hop is in French,
That's
correct?
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when you're writing or when you're freestyling or when you're trying to put together a song, do you use most of your experience like living in Ottawa? Is it kind of come back from that, or is it just where does your love of music and where does it come from?
The love of music, I'd say. So the legend has it that my father was very musically inclined. I say the legend because I didn't get to grow up with him. So he left home. I was probably what, 2, 3. So I don't really know him, but my mother tells me that he was super musically inclined, loved music, couldn't do anything without it really, and I'm pretty much him to a T when it comes to that. So yeah, my love for music has been there since I could remember. I'm an 80s kid, so as you know, I grew up on some wonderful musical era. I think the 90s is probably one of my favorite. I think 80s has some gems there, but the 90s, I feel like there's so many hits in all different musical genres, right? And of course, I grew up on Michael, on Mr. Jackson, and so many hits. And so it comes from all of that. I'm kind of like a melting pot of music, really. And as far as choosing to do it in French versus English, so my first verse ever written was in French. And then, so I was 14 years old, so a real teen, started in French. And then, like any other teen at the time, hip hop was huge in this time, and it's still huge today, but we're talking about the good old days where it's Nas, it's Biggie, it's Pac, it's Jay-Z, it's Eminem, it's Ludacris, so I dove really like heavy into that. So I gravitated towards the English rap for a minute. So there's a period of time where I actually recorded some songs in English. And shout out to my favorite teacher in high school who, aside from being a teacher, was also a musical artist himself. And he's kind of the one who kind of gave me like the courage to express myself in my first language, should I want to, right? And ever since, it's kind of been that. It's been the Franco realm, and I think for me, when it comes to the French versus the English, I think, not to say that the English language doesn't bring its own sets of challenges, but I feel like with French, to make things sound nice without them being corny is like a little more challenging. And the language is very poetic, and it's my first tongue, so it's a natural thing for me, right? But yeah, shout out to all my Anglos who give me the time of day, and shout out to the people who helped me write in English when I did at the time. And yeah, long answer, but gives you an idea
That's great.
of how it comes down.
Yeah.
Yep, good answer. So he's just trying to tell us that rap sounds better in French than it does in English.
No, it's not what he said.
No,
I'm
not at
teasing.
all.
I'm
I wouldn't go that
teasing.
far.
I'm teasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I mean, I'm a huge hip hop fan. I'm sure that you guys probably have your hip hop too, but the hip hop game in the Anglophone scene is wonderful. There's like amazing artists. So
Yep.
no shots fired towards them.
No, we're just teasing here. Because later on in the show, we're going to ask a question that we already know the answer to.
They don't though,
Yes,
because
I do.
No, because he grew up on Michael.
Yeah.
As did I. I absolutely
yeah.
loved Michael
Anyway,
Jackson.
we'll talk about that a little
He
bit.
was like my hero when I was a kid.
So,
Well, just the Thriller album, man. Like when I was like, I think it came out, I was 2 or 3 or something
You
like
know,
that.
some people think that's a big deal. I was only like 20.
It's still a big deal. It's still the biggest selling album of all time.
Yeah.
Thriller is undefeated. It's a moment
Just
in
it's
time.
wall to wall.
It just changed the game, and the visuals that came with Thriller and the records that he broke. Just huge.
And the dancing, man, and
However,
like the art, the whole thing. Yeah.
everything about Thriller is amazing, so
Believe it or not, I can moonwalk. I can moonwalk.
I mean, if you grew up on Michael, I'm sure you can moonwalk.
My
It would be
when I was,
a travesty if you didn't know how to moonwalk.
Uh-oh.
So my brother, I have a brother who's a little bit older, and he was getting married, and I was probably 7 or 8, and he was probably 28. So you're 26 or something. So we had a bit of a broken, like different family anyway. But he said that at his wedding, I like stopped everything, and they played,
Billie Jean.
I don't think it was Billie Jean. I think it was "Wanna Be Starting Something," and I started just doing a full-on Michael Jackson show when I was 7.
That's so unlike you to be, trying to be.
I love being center of attention.
That's
I
so
have,
unlike
I have a problem with it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, being the youngest of like that many kids, I think that's probably where it comes from.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, that's not where it
Oh,
comes from.
guys,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm proud of you. I wish I
Thank
could
you.
been to witness that.
Well, maybe I'll reenact it someday for you, LeFlo.
Please do.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to come to one of your shows, and you'll have to break into some Michael, and then
I'd
you
love
can-
to. Yeah,
you
I'd
can get
love
up
to
on
see
stage
that.
and do it for everybody.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
interviewed Jay Morris last week. Just speaking of like the Ottawa art scene and the Ottawa hip hop scene, and how do you feel about like do you see it kind of growing as obviously there was the great YouTube documentary that was put out recently, and then do you think that there's quite an appetite for the hip hop scene here in Ottawa?
Of course, 100%. I think that the Ottawa hip hop scene just has never stopped growing, and I think that it's in a beautiful place right now. Shout out to Jay Morrison, shout out to Sid Pedaya, who to me, City's kind of like the hip hop mayor of the city. He's done so much for the culture, for the genre. Being from Ottawa, also had a moment in Toronto, came back, opened the studio, opened House of Ensemble. But there's just so much movement happening with the culture, and I think that the appetite is definitely there. It's beautiful to see that hip hop is present also like in different important moments in the Ontarian musical scene, whether it's the CMAs, whether it's Blues Fest, whether it's Cranium Festival. So it's very present, and it's so nice to see compared to, I guess, when I was a teenager. I feel like the hip hop scene was way more underground. Like if you wanted to know and see who was who, you had to like be out and about. So a lot of showcases, but nothing to the stature of like a Blues Fest or a CMA, So lots of showcases, lots of bar gigs at the time, and a lot of DIY. And to see that it's grown so much, it's a beautiful thing in both Anglophone and Francophone realms. It's super dope.
Yeah.
Now you're just we were talking before we went on the air. You're really, really busy for a while there. Now you're taking some time off, just to enjoy the summer. And how's that going so far?
Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice to just sit and chill and spend time with the wife and the daughter and do home things, and even catching up on like the boring admin stuff that we have to do as artists is actually good, because we've been so on the go. We've been blessed enough to do 4 tours this year. So in March, I was one of the 2 spokespersons for this thing that's called the Les Rendez-vous de la Francophonie, which translates to the French Rendezvous. And essentially, it's the whole month of March is dedicated to la francophonie, to the francophone culture. And every year they have 2 spokespersons to represent and share their passion for the language in whatever that they do. And me as a francophone hip hop act who's been so busy, my ascension and the momentum has been just so wonderful. So I was actually offered this wonderful opportunity. I actually have a fun poster I can show you. So this is
that's
what
cool.
it is. The French Rendezvous. So the other lady that you see next to me is Micheline Marchildon, who is a francophone comic from Manitoba, and myself. So from March 1st till the end of the month, I got the chance to do my first nationwide tour. So I got to go to every province and perform, did some school gigs, and it was wonderful, wonderful experience. And then April, bunch of shows, May, bunch of shows, June, finished the month with another tour as well. In Ontario, we did a GTA run, and we did 2 festivals. We did the Franco-Ontario Festival that happens at Major's Park.
Yeah.
Major's Hill Park. So that went down June 14th, and then did my run of the GTA, ended in Hamilton, did a show at the Franco Fest of Hamilton on June 22nd, and that was my last show. So all this to say, it's been super busy, and it's a wonderful thing. But to be off and just like be home and chill, and just be a dad, a husband, and be lazy a little bit is very nice. Also last year too, 2023 was also a crazy year. 4 tours as well. We did one in February out west, so BC. We did Prince George, Nelson, Victoria, and then we did a tour in June, again a GTA run, and then September we did Ontario North, so Thunder Bay, Sudbury, blah blah blah, Chapleau, and then October, November, we did East. So we did Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and then we crossed the border and we went to the States. And we did 5 states. Which was,
that's awesome.
Yeah. For me, like a Francophone artist from Ottawa gets to say that he did a tour in the States. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't think, you don't think about French artists in the States.
Well, that was a question I was going to ask. Would you even going out west? Like, how well received was that out west? Because I lived in Alberta for 4 years, and French, when I was out there, was pretty much non-existent. Like, I took it in school, like, for maybe 40 minutes, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm happy to report that it's changed.
Nice.
First of all, huge shout out to the French immersion schools, which is probably way more present than it was when you were younger. So that in itself is a huge circuit. And I'm happy to report that a lot of the Francophone community is to be found everywhere, whether it's BC, whether it's Alberta. So I did a show in Red Deer in Alberta. I did Saskatchewan this year for Francophone Festival. And then Nova Scotia, I did PI this year as well. So yeah, like the Francophones are spread out everywhere, which is beautiful. And then the French immersion program, which has been showing me a lot of love since February 2023, is a huge circuit, and yeah, it's just beautiful. It's crazy. But the first time I went out west was 2019, where we did 7 shows in BC, and I was a little hesitant to see like how it was going to be received, but good reception, like people are down. And even so, huge shout out to the francophones, to the French immersions. So en français, on a ce qu'on appelle les francophiles, the francophiles. So the anglophones who are, French friendly and are curious and love the language. And even if they don't get every word, they come out, they show support, they consume the culture, and, they speak it. Like, it's beautiful. So I get to see all of these people, and yeah, I'm super grateful.
Awesome.
I kind of chuckled when you said Red Deer, because when I lived in Alberta, I lived like 8 kilometers from Red Deer. That's where the base was.
Was a lot of French going on in Red Deer?
No, not at all.
Well, I think that, you hit on a major thing there, because the French immersion program nationwide has certainly been, like, I took French immersion. Je parle un petit peu de français, mais je dois pratiquer un petit peu aussi. But I just flowed for LeFlo Franco. But I find even my niece, who's in Toronto, her first language, her father is Brazilian, so she speaks Portuguese. Obviously, my sister's from Toronto, so she's got that English as well. But she took French immersion, and she speaks it perfectly. It doesn't benefit her in her job in Toronto, but it's great to have it. I mean, I really, sure. I agree. I think that having more languages is better than having none.
I can speak for that and saying absolutely. I wish I had paid more attention and actually learned, because living here in Ottawa, I kind of suffer. Well, I mean, we went to that show in Montreal that your niece graciously let us come to, and they spoke in French 99% of the night, and I was completely lost.
Yeah, one of my nieces works for the Canadian Hall of Fame, Music Hall of Fame, and we went to Montreal, and they did a all French artists. So I'm sitting there, and I'm understanding obviously most of what's being said. It's being said much quicker than I would speak, So you catch it, like you said, the Francophile. We catch it, but we enjoy it. But Dawg is sitting there, like, just sort of like doesn't understand. So I had to explain a little bit about it, but it was still a great experience.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And like the music, I enjoyed it a lot. It was just,
Yeah.
it was a great experience to have for sure. But I'm again wishing I'd understood more.
Well, Montreal, I mean, the French culture I find is with arts are they just they want it all: English, French, all types of different arts. They're very cultured there, so they want to have that. And as you get to Quebec City and stuff like that, I'm sure Quebec City might remind you a little bit of
Paris.
Paris, a little bit, but certainly, I think it's great. I think it's great that you're saying that and that it's being really there's a great appetite again for that music out west, and of course we all knew New Brunswick would have it, but Nova Scotia and all those areas, right? So BI, yeah. Newfies, you can't understand English or French, so we don't know what the Newfoundlanders are doing.
They're a gracious people, and they would love it.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would. Yes, I haven't been there myself just yet, but
they're great.
It's
great.
Is wonderful, and it's great. I'm telling you, the amount of love and support that I've been getting from the Anglophone community is unreal.
Well, you're talented. I mean, talent speaks, right? So that goes a long way.
Well, I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I just think it's growing up, I've always thought that because I do music in French, like I would have like this barrier that would stop people from connecting, and it's been wonderful to witness that that's not the case at all. Like people really connect with the music and the artists and who they are and what they represent and the sounds, and it's been unreal, and even this to be able to be part of your podcast is super nice as a Francophone artist. Like you would never think, because you always think like, oh well, this is for the Anglophone, so what are the chances that they think about me, but to see that your music can break those barriers and music really confirms that it is a universal language. Like it doesn't matter if you don't get all the words, but if you get the gist of the chorus, the concept and the vibe, sky's the limit.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with music is a language. We've said this before on the show. It's like it's such a great thing. We've had Christine St. Pierre on the show, and she's a French artist as well as she does both.
Girl, I love Christine. She's amazing.
Yeah, so she'll be headlining. Well, she'll be a part of our show that we're doing on August 17th, and she's like gonna play, which will be amazing for us because we love her. She's just one of the nicest people ever.
She's so nice. She's so sweet, and her voice, Jesus, her voice.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we love her.
So soothing, so nice. Fun fact: we have 2 songs together, Kristen and I.
Oh yeah.
We have, a song on my album that came out in 2019. So if I do this, so the multicolored one, this one.
Yeah.
So it's called
a cool cover, actually.
Yeah, and Kristen is on it. So I have a song called Petit Bijou, which translates to Little Gem, and it's a song that I wrote for my daughter.
Nice.
And it's an acoustic. It's like nice and calm, and Kristen comes in with her voice. She just takes it to another level.
It's melodic.
On the album that I just released this year in May, she's on number 4, which is Besoin de Toi, which translates to In Need of You. And it's a song that talks about family issues. And it's basically the letter that I always wanted to write to my absent father, now that I'm a father myself. And Kristen comes through again with her beautiful voice. There's something about family topics that to me, like every time I'm in that zone, I think of Kristen and I call her up. I'm like, yo, I have this new record. Are you down? She's like, yeah, come through. And she just kills it. So a huge shout out to Kristen St. Pierre. And,
nice.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, her new album is phenomenal. I love it. A couple songs I don't like listening to because they make me want to get a little emotional, but it's an amazing.
You're supposed to feel.
You're
supposed to feel the emotion.
That's what Kristen does. I'm telling you,
she does. She's excellent at it.
I think the one's called One More Minute, and it's just like, oh my god, it's just oh yeah, just like a Mikhail's song there about his mom. It's just like,
oh yeah,
I can't.
Well,
but,
I mean, I come from an absentee father too, so I have a lot of things that I had to deal with, and it sort of, I think that my release was writing and stuff like that is different than music. I wish I had that outlet, but I have the podcast. Now I can talk about that guy.
Yeah,
now, I
you
guess.
do.
No,
Right?
but writing and that really helped, like journaling, and then of course writing poetry and all that stuff helps. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and it's as I became a father as well, I have my daughter's name's actually, well, I have twin daughters, so one's name is Florence, Florence.
she's Flo.
So we call her Flo. Yeah, we call her Flo. Yeah, exactly.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Florence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I keep seeing Flo at the corner there, and I'm like, oh, I keep thinking, wow, there's my girl. Tilly and Flo. Yeah,
Tilly
they're
and
almost like.
Flo. Well, shout out to your girls, and because you're a little more ear friendly to the Francophone language, when we're done, when you have time, go check this out. So
Okay.
that's Divine Intervention. So that's the new album that came out this year. It came out like probably the week after the CMAs where we met.
I've listened to a couple tracks off of it, but I'm gonna listen to the whole. I'll listen to the whole album. I'll listen to the whole
number
album for sure.
four, number 4 with Christine, and when you take it in, let me know how you feel. If it
That
gets
sounds
you
good.
in your feel.
Get you in your feels.
Probably will. Yeah, as you get older, I'm sure you're the same. We're similar in age, so
Yep.
it's like, as we got older, I've become a little softer.
Well, I had a discussion with somebody about that, like listening to music. I have a friend who's going through a tough time, and I sent her some songs that like I reflect on when I'm not in a good place. And she got mad at me. She's like, "You didn't tell me this one was going to make me cry." And I said, "Well, I mean, it also depends on like where you are. Like, if, when you're tired, you're more emotional.
Of course,
You know what I mean? So it's a certain times of the day. But like Christine's voice is just like we're gonna listen to this right after we're done.
melting
I
butter.
think I actually played a song on my show that Christine did with you.
Oh yeah,
I think it was the one on your other album because I was like,
Probably,
"Oh, Christine, yeah, I did it on my show." It's like that was so good.
yeah. Dawg does a radio show every Wednesday, and he plays just indie music, local artists. So you've been on there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, thank you for playing me before we met. That's I'm super touched and humbled, and yeah, I mean, Kristen. Shout out to Kristen.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you think of hip hop today compared to the '90s when we were like really into it?
Oh, Gus, why you gonna do me like this?
Because I listen. I love your stuff. I'm just saying, like, I'm a '90s guy. Like that's that's. So my hip hop, favorites are similar to yours. I mean, Biggie, obviously, Tupac, but I love Nas. Nas was like my favorite, and then Ice Cube is actually my favorite. And then like those, I don't know. That time was just so powerful for music, for the hip hop scene, anyway, for sure.
I agree, 100%.
All music, really, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a complex answer for the hip hop purists, right? Because it's hard to not be. How can I say this? Like, it's almost like when you're at a barbecue and you're with your uncle, who's an old head, and they always talk about like music in my day was music. What you kids listen to today isn't music, right? Like, I feel like I'm now this uncle because I feel like the 90s and the early 2000s, like I'm so attached to it. I'm so militant of how great and powerful it was, right? But being a fan of music and being, still in the scene myself and keeping my ears to the street, as they say, I think that hip hop has definitely evolved. And I think that should you take the time to dig, you will find quality hip hop in today's game, in today's scene, right? So I think it's important to say that. But to answer you frankly, I think that, the music today is good. But I think that the music from the 90s and early 2000s, as far as hip hop goes, was excellent. I think it was great. It was quality. There was so much variety, right? I think one of the beautiful things for me in that time is that everybody had their own sound. Ludacris, there's no there wasn't two Ludacris in that time.
No.
There's no two Eminems. And even if you want to talk about, well, there were other white rappers, sure. Paul Wall did sound nothing like Eminem. Bubba Sparks sound nothing like Eminem.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own lane, and everybody shined because they had their own voice, their own style, their own uniqueness. And I think that was the beauty of that time. And also, I think that, hip hop just celebrated their 50th this year, right?
That's right.
So in the 80s, it's like we can probably say that it's like in the infant stage, And in the 90s, you're like in your teen stage, like, and teens, there's the swagger, there's the attitude. So you really feel that. And then in the early 2000s, for me, it's like you're almost like young adult in hip hop. And I think because it was so new and so fresh, it had room to like explore different things and different sounds. And I think that's what made it so nice versus now it's probably in its like, it's full blown adulthood of hip hop because, we celebrated 50 years, which is great. But I think that in terms of like where music can go, it almost feels like all the hot creativity happened in that golden era, but I still think that I still land on beautiful gems and beautiful moments in today's scene, but you can't, it's the 90s and early 2000s it's unmatched,
Yes.
No disrespect to Kendrick, no disrespect to Drake, no disrespect to J. Cole, which are in the hip hop community, these are the big threes. And
yeah, I mean, Drake is like, I'm not a big fan of Drake, but J. Cole and Kendrick to me are like, they're kind of old school in the way that they,
yes,
you know,
because it's delivery, it's flows, it's punchlines, it's metaphors, it's quality content, right? I think Drake is more on the pop side of hip hop, and he's more melodic, and he can hit you with some hard bars. Like when Drake is on a record with Wayne, the best of Drake happens because Wayne is a lyricist, right? So it's kind of like steel sharpens steels, But Drake in his own universe, it's way more melodic. It's more, flowy. It's more bangers and
dancey.
Cole and Kendrick, it's like it's concept. It's pushing
analytical.
It's lyrical content, which is as hip hop heads, that's what we want. That's it's the sport,
That's right.
So that's question.
Yeah, but the way you said sport. So I'm gonna go on so Nelly was on an interview. I think he was on the shop, like LeBron James's show on HBO. So it's excellent. So he talks to different guys and about sports and culture and everything. So Nelly's on, and Nelly at the time, like nobody was bigger than Nelly in like 2002, 2003. But he's talking about the 2000 to 2010 is the greatest hip hop era because of the fact that everybody was still really competitive to be number one. And he said it was me going against DMX, going against Ja Rule at the time. 50 Cent was coming out. Eminem was out. Jay-Z was out. Like, like huge names. Nas came back with another album in 2000. But like, I mean, he's more of a 90s guy to me, but still like that era. And it was all competitive because they wanted to be number one. And I think at the time Jay-Z was certainly, and Eminem. I mean, they both speak so well about each other, but Eminem's such a purist too. And then, he's different than anybody else ever. I mean, the sort of the stuff that he was saying at the time. And then of course I loved Nelly because it was very St. Louis, and like they all represent a different time. And Lil Wayne was in that time too. So like it was like a crazy time for hip hop for sure.
Very. And in terms of the sport, that's what makes it a sport, is that you're competing against juggernauts. It's not easy to go against M and Kanye and Luda and Ja Rule and 50, like huge name with huge followings, huge numbers, huge record sales at the time. And we in this golden era, we still had the Much Music and the BTs and and MTV. So like it was so in your face. So for you to come out, you had to come out correct. You had to have like a nice strategy, hot singles, really nice videos, like you had to really stand out. So I think that's what really, really makes it a sport. And today I feel like that element, it's a little diluted. Like it's very difficult to find the element of competitiveness in as far as like the lyrical play. But you got some guys out there that keep that swim alive. Like I'm thinking of Logic, of Jordan Lucas, Cole, Kendrick, so it's still out there. You just gotta search for it a little more. It doesn't lead the conversation as it once used to.
Yeah, too many soft guys getting the 7th place trophies.
Well, I blame Drake for this because Drake came out in 2009, and 2009 was interesting because it was like a transitional phase, right? Like, because hip hop was super hot, and then it got to like, I don't know if you remember, but it got to like the Dirty South, like Little Johns and all the party weird like
Yeah.
Soulja
Juvenile.
Boy was there, and then Drake comes out with like a melodic R&B kind of spacey beats, and then he just blew the waters, right? And then everybody wanted to sound like Drake, and then everybody that came out was just. So I think from that school, that's what happened. Like we lost a little bit of that
Edge.
rawness, that edge, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still there. You just gotta search.
We just geeked out a bit there, right?
You did?
Yeah. I mean, you open the gate when you.
Hey Flo, you and I we can totally geek out
Let's
anytime,
go.
man. Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm just giving FaceTime right now.
No, you got good questions. You should fire one his way there.
I'm going to ask, like we talked about the videos and stuff. Do you feel that because with the advent, of course, videos became prevalent in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you feel that like some videos were better than the actual song they presented?
Sure.
I mean, that's tough because it's like, for me, if you get to a place in your mind where you get to say, "Yo, the video was better than the song," then to me the video served its purpose. Because for me, and we talked about Michael quickly. I think that's one of the greatest gifts that Michael gave us. I'll speak for myself. Like for me as a youth, watching a Michael Jackson video was like an event. Like he managed to give you mini movies, right? Thriller, when it first came out on MTV, bracket, Michael, at the time MTV was only playing white artist videos. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, but no doubt.
He really wanted MTV to premiere the video. He made that happen. He called the right people and it happened. And the premiere was like the 30-minute version of the video, right? Like the intro when he's in the theater, the whole movie, the breakdown in it, and then the after and the credits. Can you imagine? Like,
it's giving me chills now. You're giving me chills now because I watch it. I watch it every Halloween. Like I absolutely love that video. Like it changed my whole life. It changed my whole life. Like it was awesome.
It's spectacular.
It did. It really did because Flo's completely correct. Like it was Michael had a vision and had the song, which when you asked that question, was the video, like that video could be better than the song. However, the song is so good. So it's like, it was just such a beautiful event. Yeah. It's so good.
My God. Thriller. And it's funny because we're talking about Michael. Because on Saturday I was painting my daughter's room and I was in a Michael mood. So I played all the albums back to back. Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, Dangerous, and Thriller is an amazing record. Mind you, I'm painting, but I'm thinking of the visual. Just to tell you how like impactful the visual was, right? So to get back to where I was going with that is that when a video gets you to say, yo, the video was better than the song, it's because it really served the song. For me, Michael made it a point to highlight what he was singing about. He gave life to the lyrics, right? Like music for me, it's about moods, it's about emotions, it's about, sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's just, a délire, something that you imagined. And Thriller is like, it's a story, it's a mini movie. When you listen to it, it's like, this is so different. And then you see the video and you're like, wow, okay, I get it, right? Every video that Michael gave us was that. Remember the Time, it's a mini movie. Smooth Criminal, mini movie. Earth Song. Who is
Girl
it?
Is Mine.
Girl Is Mine. You rock my world.
What's the one where he's like, it lights up behind him as he's walking? I think that's
Billie Jean.
That's Billie Jean.
Yeah.
That's Billie Jean, right?
Exactly.
So every song, every video, a Black or White, another, again, when that came out, it was like an 11-minute video, right? With when he's smashing the car and then he transformed himself into a panther. Like, so he just highlights the lyrics and he makes sure that it really connects with what he's singing about. And I think that visuals are so important for that reason, and mind you, I don't have the same budget that Michael has. Like he had Sony and
he had a few,
so he could afford to give us mini movies, but for me who's independent, I feel like when I do a record, I always try to remember the one lesson that Michael gave us is like, yo, honor your song, honor the words, and try to really be faithful to that. And to my great surprise, well, that's what gave me this baby.
There it is.
So,
How cool are those
Video of the
trophies?
Video of the year for Sunil Anam is just, it's crazy. And again, I'm not a crazy budget. Like, I'm not rich. I don't have
Oh,
any
it's excellent.
major labels. But to tell you that we made it a point to honor the vibe of the song and to see that we got rewarded for it is just, it just confirms what Michael has been telling us from time. Like, honor your lyrics and be honest with the visuals, and chances are it's going to connect with people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to step in for a second. Anybody watching this this podcast has probably just witnessed the birth of a flow romance here, a flowmance. Flowmance between you two.
Well, it's not
Gus and
often I
Flo.
get to have these hip hop discussions with anybody other than my friends that I grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
who are, again, a very diverse group, but we all connected with music and we all played
No, I think it's
sports
awesome.
together, basketball, football, baseball. Like, it was just a time, and I just feel like those times are amazing because, like, I find, that this technology that's come is amazing. Like, the fact that we're doing what we're doing right now, everything is great. But the one thing that people, I think, especially kids that are 16 or 15 or whatever, that are going through listening to their music that they want, is, phones are kind of taking you away from painting this picture in your head of a watching a video that's done and like seeing it kind of as an art form, and the short, like, everybody wants everything so instantly. There's no like, and again, we're sounding like the old uncle, which I am now. So, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that it's a different time. We kind of remember you had to go to the store, like Dog too. You had to go to the store and you had to buy a physical piece and then bring it home and take the wrapper off and enjoy it.
And live with it, right? Like,
yeah,
I feel like when you made it a point to go to the store to buy that album, that because you saw one or two videos and you're like, and then you heard it on the radio, whether you'd be in the back seat and your parents are driving, you heard it, right? And then you're like, yo, it's coming out this day. I have $15. I'm going to go buy my album. And then you buy it and then you have it in your hands. It's not just on your phone. It's not just like something that you scroll and that's passive. No, you earned your $15. You walked to the store, to HMB. You waited in line. You purchased it. You went home. You opened it, and then you had like the booklet, right? And then you got to read the lyrics, and then you got to listen, right? And then sometimes, if you were lucky, you got the CD, and then you got a DVD, and then you get to like see the videos. It was just, you got to live with an album, right? And I think that that's so important. And no disrespect to the kids of today, like, I think, like you said, technology has brought us to a different level and they get to experience in different ways. But you can't tell me that living with a product that you really wanted to consume in the physical realm versus the digital realm is debatable. Like, like, think about whether it be a CD, a cassette, or the vinyl. Like, there's just something about having it in your hands, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then talking about music, but this thing is wonderful, right? But this has everything that we had in a backpack. Remember, you had to, like, your camcorder, you had your photos, right? You had your CD player, your cassette player, like everything. Like, you had to pull out things, and now everything is in this, and everything is a flick. And we're just bombarded with stuff, right? So I think that sometimes for the kids, it's like, it's hard to really know or to appreciate things the way that we did, because, like, we were kind of like forced to. We didn't have as much selection, to be fair, but I think what the gatekeepers chose to show us, they made it a point to, like, show you the best of the best, hence Michael's, hence the whoever you want to name from those great times. So anyways,
I think that was a good way of putting it. Living with your music.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember those days too. Like, getting excited about a new album coming out and actually going and getting it was the big thing.
Oh yeah,
it's a thing.
Do you remember the Chronic 2001 when it came out? Like, do you remember? Like, because I had the first, like, I've told this story to Dog before. Like, when I heard, the first Chronic album, I was probably 13 or 14, and I was like
92.
Yeah, so I was 12, and it turned me, it made me a man. It made me a man that day, because you would listen to that album and you're like, there's that sex scene and that's in there. There's like these little interludes that go on. No, at 12 years old, no, God no. I mean, but I became a man that day. Anyways, the cool thing about it though is like, because I remember like talking to people that were 16 and I was 20, and I was like, did you ever listen to the first one? They're like, there's another Chronic. I'm like, oh, is there ever? And then I'd play them the best song maybe ever on that album, anyways, we kind of get to 2001 and this thing comes out, and I think it came out in 2000. I think it was called The Chronic 2001, but it was 2000. And then like, speaking of Eminem too, like him and Ice Cube wrote a lot of those songs for Dre, because he's not a writer, right? Dre doesn't write. So things just ain't the same for Gangsters was written by Eminem. It was like the way Warren G talks about it is, he goes like, honestly, Eminem is brilliant because he wrote it like he was in Dre's brain and like explained it like the way that Dre should say it, and then he did. It was the coolest thing ever. I was like, I just remember that being a great time in my life. I was like driving a truck with a CD player, put it in, like, yeah, what's up,
So gangsta you were.
Yeah.
Yo, the early 2000s is a time. And alongside M, here's a fun fact, which I'm sure you know, guys, but Dog, if you don't. So on that album, Jay-Z wrote the
Still Dre,
which
Still
is
Still Dre.
Still Dre,
Yeah.
which is to Dre's probably one of his biggest hits, right? Till this day, you play that anywhere, it shuts down the place.
Oh yeah.
Jay-Z is known to not sit down and write. But Jay-Z did exactly what M did. He thought about the record like how Dre should say it, and he just delivered it like that.
Yeah.
And that's what the Still Dre is. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like when Cube wrote Boys in the Hood for Eazy-E, and he's sort of explaining to Eazy-E how to do it.
How to
Like
say
he's
it,
like,
yeah, how
because
to do it.
Eazy-E's doing like this like fast, and he's like, no, like slow down and say it like you're in the hood, like this is how you're supposed to say it. It's great. It's really well explained in the Straight Outta Compton in the movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until I saw the movie. So that sort of tells you everything. But like you just said, Jay-Z probably makes more money on that song than most of, even though he has a ton of money. We're not going to worry about Jay-Z's money, but like it's very cool to hear those ghostwriters, and you don't even know like Ice Cube and Eminem and Jay-Z are probably some of the best writers of all time. It's like Stapleton. It's like Chris Stapleton. Before he came out with his own stuff, he was writing these crazy songs for other artists. Right?
Well, that happens a lot in country.
Yeah,
there's a lot of,
but hip hop too.
Yeah,
hip-hop too.
The biggest artist in country music, George Strait.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever written a song.
No, he's never written one. He's got like 50 number ones or something.
He's got more than that now. He's got up to 60.
In the R&B scene too.
Mhm.
Neo, who is a huge star. Neo, before he popped up, he wrote a lot of songs for artists too, right? So yeah, it's a beautiful skill set when you're able to. C'est l'interprétation, right? To interpret, to think about, okay, I'm going to write a song, and it's not going to be a flow song. It's going to be a Gus song. So you really got to know the client, the artist, and their vibe and how they talk, and just to honor that and to give that and to make something happen like that is it's a skill that you got to respect. It's
Oh, absolutely, you do.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't know that. That's a good, like, see, I love when we talk about stuff that I don't know. It's fun. I love to learn about music. I don't care what genre it is. I love to learn new stuff.
There's some really great documentaries like the history of hip hop, and like some of these things where even the 4-part series, the Defiant ones, which is Dre and Jimmy Iovine.
With Dre and Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah. So it's like I love that one because it sort of talks about the beginnings of Dre and how he got out of Death Row Records, which was a nightmare, and like which at the time, remember Death Row was like had everybody, like the best artists in the world were in Death Row, and then there was the East West thing with Puff and Biggie, right? So and Biggie and Tupac were actually friends.
I know,
which is an interesting thing too. So yeah, it's crazy, the history of everything, and again we're nerding out again, but that's okay. That's what we do here, that's what we do.
I love nerding out. I don't get to do it often, so
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. What's are you going to work on a bit of music yourself? Is that kind of the plan? Obviously, it may just come to you while you're taking a little bit of a a reprieve, you know, like as hanging out with your daughter, hanging out with your wife, and then maybe something will come from that, you think?
I mean, music comes to me all the time at different times, and it's very random. I'm not one of those type of artists who gets into album mode per se, right? Like some people will say, okay, like I'm blocking the next 2 weeks of this specific month to just write the album. And that's cool, but for me, it's never been that way. It's always been like when lightning strikes, I try to honor it and just like go with it. So sometimes it's while I'm cooking, cleaning, I'm listening to music, I get inspired by like a song, and then a melody pops up in my head, and then I, you know, record like my voice notes and such. And so I'm sure that I'll be creating for the next little while. I'm always, it's weird. Like I just released the album in May, but I'm always trying to think of, okay, what's the next thing I want to do? So my mind is already there. I'm thinking about the next project, and I do want to do, I really want to do a collaborative project. So I'm 3 for 3 now. I got my 3 EPs. So behind me, you'll see those. So those are 3 EPs. They had 6 songs each. And then these are 2 long length, LPs. So 12 CDs, 12 songs each. And then on Divine Intervention, there's 13 songs. So I got my 3 EPs. I got my 3 LPs solo. And I think it's time for me to collaborate a little more. And at the festivals that I did, so my crew, and I think you're familiar with the hip hop game, Gus, so you know this is no news to you, but typically what happens in the culture is whoever really ends up making a lot of noise tends to bring their crew after, right? We've seen it with DMX and Rough Riders, we've seen it with MND12 and Jay-Z and Rockefeller, and so I'm kind of like in that mindset, kind of like want to bring my boys, and so there's TIP that I've loved from time. They were actually a pretty big deal in the underground hip hop Ottawa scene. Like back in from 02 to like 09, they pretty much like ran the Francophone scene. From studio time to web design to DIY shows. These guys are just legends. And I'm blessed enough to be able to say that they're my close friends now. So we have a couple of records together already, but we really want to do like a collaborative album, you know, like a compilation of some of their stuff, my stuff, new material, of course. So my mind's in there, and for sure there'll be some solo flow stuff as well. So yeah, it'll probably manifest itself throughout the summer, and then which is good because as of September, it's back to work, back to school, back to the stage. I'm lucky enough to report that I have 40 dates that are waiting for me as far as shows to do.
Amazing.
Cool.
So a huge tour that I got to win, so to speak. So little story. So in November of 2023, I went to Fredericton in New Brunswick to do a showcase, like an industry showcase. And what happens at these showcase is essentially all the artists come through and they show like a 20-minute snippet of their show. And the idea is to kind of like wow the people who do the bookings, right? So in the public, in the crowd, you have like people who have festivals, people who have, you know, public venues, people who have who are in schools. So did my thing, 20-minute set, bang, 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 killed it. You know, I walked out, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I feel like I really killed it. And some of my fans from the region came to the event, so they made a lot of noise. It was just a great look. But I didn't think I was going to like, you know, I'm thinking we did great. We're probably going to have like 10 shows. Fast forward, March, I'm in PI doing the tour that I told you guys about. Sitting down, my booking agent calls me. She's like, are you sitting down? Yeah, I'm sitting down. Is everything okay? Well, we finally got news from Francofête en Acadie. That's the name of the showcase I did. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, we've been waiting. So what's up? Did we get like five dates, 10 dates? It's like, no, we got 40. Sorry, come again? Did you say 14 or did you say 40? No, 40. 40. 40. So that's going down. So it's going down 2024, 2025. So that in itself is going to be a crazy tour. We're splitting in half. So end of November, early December, we're doing like the first probably 15 to 20 dates. and then we'll do the rest probably March, April of 2025. That's just the one tour out east, so that's really like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, and then whatever's happening in Ontario. So we'll be busy. All this to say that I'm going to enjoy the summer, let the creative juices come, do my voice notes, do some demo recordings, and then throughout the year we'll probably record officially more. This next collaborative tape.
Sick.
Nice.
Sick. Ask him.
Yeah.
All right. We do this every show since we
Let's go.
started.
Let's do your tradition. I'm curious.
Yes. 80s or 90s as your decade of music choice.
90s, hands down.
See? Why did I even bother showing up today?
Well, listen.
Why?
He did.
I'm
but
teasing,
he,
man.
He does love the 80s too.
I know he does.
I mean, that's the thing.
I really
90s
feel
is
like there's
go
some
ahead, sorry,
there's some great hits from the 80s. Like I'm thinking a
Michael
lot of
Jackson,
the funk
yeah.
stuff, like
Mhm.
Earth, Wind and Fire, Cool and the Gang. Like there's so much hotness in the 80s, right? Even the early Michaels, Jackson 5s, like there's a
Parliament.
lot of gems. But the 90s, the 90s is just like there's an influx of different hotness in all the different genres, whether it be rock, whether it be pop, whether it be rap, hip hop. It's just hot. And I'm probably biased too. Like it's a core memory for me as a
Mhm.
youth. So in the 90s, I'm like 6 going, going
Yep.
to, so 95, I'm 10. So I'm born in 85. So just to show you, like, it's a core moment for me.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
Michael's at its peak in the 90s.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, even that Scream video with his sister.
With Janet.
Like,
What?
yeah. I love Janet. Like, I had a huge crush on Janet Jackson. Like, she was like,
Guys,
Yeah.
who did not?
yeah, I know, man. Like when that's the way love goes. Like that video, and J Lo's in that, but you don't even notice her. But
Nope.
because Double J is bro. Her
Whoa.
like her abs and stuff. Like she was just really smoking hot. I was like all over
Yo,
it.
Janet is, and she's still smoking till this day.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, man.
wild.
Well, she'll probably be sad that you let yourself go.
I let myself
Yeah,
go. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
she was
bad.
happy.
bad.
Poor Janet.
Yo,
Poor Janet doesn't know what she's missing over here.
Janet.
I think she does.
Yeah, it's true though. She was like an icon back then. I mean, everybody
Still
loved her.
is.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, she's a Jackson. I mean, how can you not? It just happens to be super.
Can you
hot.
name all the others?
Tito, Jerome, Jermaine?
Nope. Jermaine.
Jermaine, not Jerome.
No Jerome, eh?
Yeah, no Jerome.
Jermaine, Tito, Michael, Janet. I mean,
Latoya.
there's a Latoya. But the
Mhm.
5. Who are the 5?
The brothers. Yeah, you missed a couple.
Tito,
Yeah.
Jermaine, Michael,
Marlon.
Marlon,
Marlon. Okay.
And then you got Randy.
Randy. Yeah,
So
Randy
those are
Jackson.
5.
not the Randy Jackson you're
The
thinking.
one that signed the Step Brothers samurai sword?
No.
No,
Anyway.
not this one.
Flo, thank you so much for a little bit of your time.
No, thank you. This was fun. This was great. This was, I mean, we could talk for another hour easily, clearly.
You know what we'll do is like we tend to go live on Instagram sometimes, and then we'll just have you on with us and talk. Like Dawg could just sit there and we'll let us talk about hip hop for like a half hour. 20 minutes.
Let's
That sounds
go.
like a great
Yeah,
time,
we
Vice.
call them a Gramcast. It's actually pretty solid. You just sort of sit around. Yeah.
You know what we could do though to include Dawg in the conversation is probably talk about our 90s coup de cœur, like the songs that made your 90s. Just open it, like hip hop, rock, pop, like
Country.
all of it.
90s country. 90s country. This is like his like go-to 90s country. But you're like you like 90s music. You like the 80s. He likes the 80s. It's just the way it
Well,
is. And like you said, it's
all about-
age too, right?
Exactly,
Like, things
exactly.
like-
And we could talk
Remember,
80s too. We could talk
much
80s too.
I'm
got
much
a
older
bunch
than
of-
you guys, so
I was listening to the Superfly soundtrack today. So, Curtis Mayfield was crushing it back then. So,
Let's go.
yeah. Okay. Enchanté, mon ami.
Enchanté aussi, merci. I appreciate you guys, and long live to your podcast. I'm always happy to see our Ottawa people do wonderful things. So salute. It's a first. It's not the last.
No.
no, sir.
Yeah, we had a great time. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Stay with us for a minute.
Dawg and Gus, Dawg and Gus, Dawg and Gus.